We are still solving mixture problems, and we still must know proportions and percents. The problem today is just a little different than the previous two. Example number 1. A mixture contains water and acid. 9% of the mixture is acid. If adding 120 milliliters of water drops the percent of acid to 6%, then what was the total amount of the mixture at the beginning? We do not know what the total is at the beginning, so we're going to make that X. Whether we know it or not, for the total, we still have to multiply by 9% to come up with how much acid we have. So we multiply 0.09 by X, and that will give us our amount of acid. If we add 120 milliliters of water to the original total, then that's the same as X plus 120. And that gives us our new total. And just as before, if we want to know what the new percent is, we would have to divide the amount of acid by the new total. But we already know the new percent. It is 6%. So we set this equal to 6 over 100, which is the fraction form of a percent. Once you have this proportion, you cross multiply. 6 times x is 6x, and 6 times 120 is 720. 100 times 0.09x is simply 9x. From there, you solve the problem. Do this in the opposite fashion as you normally solve an equation. Instead of getting the x's on the left, put them on the right, because that will make them positive. Leave the 720 on the left and the 9x on the right, but move the 6x to the right and make it minus 6x. That will leave you with a positive 3x, so you don't have to deal with any negatives. Divide 720 by 3 to come up with an answer of 240 milliliters. Example number 2. A mixture contains water and acid. 12% of the mixture is acid. If adding 6 milliliters of water drops the percent of acid to 8%, then what was the total amount of the mixture at the beginning? We don't know the amount of the total mixture at the beginning, so we make it X. But in order to find out how much acid we have, we still have to multiply it by 12%, so we do 0.12 times X. That is the amount of acid we have. If we pour in 6 milliliters of water, 60 milliliters of water, to the original total, that is X plus 60. That would give us our new total. And just as before, you divide the amount of acid by the new total to come up with the new percent, which is, in this case, known to us to be 8%. So we put 8 over 100. Cross multiply to get 8x plus 240, not 240, that should be 480, my fault. 480, and set that equal to 12x. Leave that 480 where it's at, and move the 8x to the right. Make it minus 480 equals 4x. If you divide 480 by 4, you come up with an answer of 120 milliliters. Practice number 1. A mixture contains water and acid. 12% of the mixture is acid. If adding 140 milliliters of water drops the percent of acid to 10%, then what was the total amount of the mixture at the beginning? For the solution, we have to figure out what the beginning total is. We don't know it, so we make it x. But as before, we still multiply by the percent of acid to find out how much acid we have. So that's 0.12x equals our amount of acid. If we add 140 milliliters of water to the beginning total, that's x plus 140. That gives us our new total. Divide the amount of acid by the new total and set it equal to the new percent of acid, which is 10%. We make that 10 over 100. Cross multiply to get 10x plus 1400 and set that equal to 12x. Keep your 1400 here and move the 10x to the right, change the sign. You should get 2x on the right, and when you divide by 2, you should get 700 milliliters of water and acid from the beginning of the problem. Practice number 2. A mixture contains water and acid. 6% of the mixture is acid. If adding 300 milliliters of water drops the percent of acid to 4%, then what was the total amount of the mixture at the beginning? The solution. We don't know the total of the mixture to start with, but we do have to multiply it by 6% to find out how much acid there is, so that's 0.06. That's our amount of acid, and if we're adding 300 milliliters of water, that is x plus 300. That is our new total. Divide the amount of acid by the new total and set that equal to the new percent, which is 4. Cross multiply to get 4x plus 1200 equals 6x. Leave the 1200 here and then subtract the 4x. 1200 is equal to 2x, and when you divide by 2, you should get 600 milliliters. Practice 3. A mixture contains water and acid. 15% of the mixture is acid. If adding 200 milliliters of water drops the percent of acid to 11%, then what was the total amount of the mixture at the beginning? For our solution, we must let x equal the total mixture at the beginning and multiply it by 15% to find out how much acid we have. And then if we add 200 milliliters of water to the original total, that is x plus 200. That is our new total. Divide the amount of acid by the new total and set that equal to the new percent of acid, which is 11 over 100. Cross multiply to get 11 plus 2200 and set that equal to 15x. 11x. You could do it this way. I know this is different than what we've done the past two problems, but you could do 11x minus 15x equals a negative 2200. To get a negative 4x equals a negative 1100. No, not a negative 1100, but a negative 2200. And when you do that division, you should come up with 550 milliliters.